Hi, welcome to Learn with me, Mrs. Sullivan. Today it's using quotation marks. Quotation marks are used to show that someone is speaking or used to show words that maybe you've taken out of a book or a song or something, and you want to show that someone else said those words. You're going to attribute them to someone else. Quotation marks are used to show that someone is speaking, said Mrs. Sullivan. This quotation is attributed to Mrs. Sullivan. Quotation marks are like two little lips that open before the person speaks, and then another set of quotation marks are at the end to close off the speaking, said Mrs. Sullivan. So the first one's open, like two little lips, and let the words come out. And then the second one's close it, like two other little lips closing tight to say no more. Quotation marks surround the words being spoken. The part that identifies the speaker is never inside the quotes. So who it's attributed to, the attribution, is never inside of the quotation marks. Now we're going to try using quotation marks, and we're going to use them in two different formats that you see a lot. So the part that identifies who speaks is called the attribution, and it's who we attribute the words to. The attribution is the source of the words. Now sometimes the attribution comes before the quote, and sometimes the attribution comes after the quote, and we punctuate each of these ways differently. Let's take a look. In this example, the attribution comes before the quote. Mrs. Sullivan said, "Always use a capital for the pronoun I." When we're punctuating a sentence that has the attribution before the quote, we put in a comma to separate the first part of the sentence from the part that is being spoken. After the comma is a space. Then we put the first set of quotation marks to start the talking off. And you can see the set of quotation marks there before the word always. The A in always is capitalized because what the person is speaking is a fresh and complete sentence. So we have a capital. So there's a comma, a space, quotation marks, and a capital letter to start that sentence. At the end, there is a period. The punctuation for the entire sentence, the period goes inside of the quotation marks. The quotation marks come after the period. So when the attribution comes first, it is the person or thing it's attributed to first, then a comma, then a space, quotation marks, capital, the sentence comes out. We end it with our ending punctuation. This is a period. It could be an exclamation point or a question mark. And then finally, the closing off quotes where the little lips close off the words. Let's look at another example. So here we see the sentence with the attribution at the end. Always use a capital I. Always use a capital for the pronoun I, said Mrs. Sullivan. So the attribution here is at the end. Since the attribution is at the end, we start this directly off with a quote. So we put the quotation marks there right at the beginning. Then we start with a capital for the sentence. So quotation marks and then the capital of the sentence. At the end of the sentence, well, it's not quite the end. It's a comma because the attribution at being at the end, it's going to take over that ending punctuation. So we have a comma here, and then we put our quotation marks here to close up what the words are that are being said. And lastly, we put a period at the end of the whole thing after the attribution. So we start with quotation marks, our capital. We say the things that are being said. Our comma comes here. our quotation marks, and then we punctuate at the very end of the total sentence. So you can see the punctuation for these are a little bit different. One thing that's the same is that we always are using our quotation marks to completely surround the words that are being said by someone. That part is the same, but where the sentence is ending with a period is a little bit different. So I hope that listening to this using quotation marks introduction was helpful to you.